All right, that's done, and I've marked the SNA snipers that can fire. We have this sniper here, who, interestingly, right, he's actually got two targets, isn't he? He can fire at the Humvee there, or he can fire at those chaps there. And he's supposed to fire at vehicles. There's no infantry to fire at anyway, because they're passengers, they're loaded up. Both vehicles have the same anti-armor value, or armor value, I should say. So that means that they're both the same in the eyes of the rules. So you could say technically we should roll a die at this point to decide which is which. Because I don't think there's any. I'm almost certain there's no rule that says, oh well, no, they're different because of what their passengers are. That's not a factor, I don't think, in the rules as written. So we could make things easier for the programmed opponent, and we could say, no, they're going to fire at them because they're obviously it would do more strategically to cause a problem for them. Yeah, okay, let's go ahead and do that. We'll do the game system a favor, and we'll say they are going to fire at them and not them. Okay, right. So off we go. They have an anti-armor factor of 0, and the armor factor on the vehicle is 4. So we're certainly not home dry yet. Let's see what happens. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. So they scored 8. And we have scored 5. Right, so they haven't doubled us. No, wait a minute. No, they haven't scored 8. I'm getting this wrong. The anti-armor factor is 0. They have scored 6, and we have scored 5, but they have beaten us. So let's see. It's firing versus a vehicle, and that means that they have beaten us. So we are pinned. We are certainly pinned, right? So let's do that, and then we have to see what happens to the passengers. We got that somewhere, haven't we? Got to find out what happens to the passengers. Well, it looks like they're going to make it out of there by the skin of their teeth, because let's see, he's fired and did rather a lot of damage, didn't he? Yes. The Humvee unit is now pinned. If the unit had been eliminated instead, then it would have severely affected the passengers and possibly could have eliminated them and probably would have pinned them and that sort of thing. If they'd already, they probably would have been pinned. Let's just put it that way. But if all that's happened is we got a pin result on the Humvee, then the passengers are unaffected. They're on board and the Humvee is pinned. The difference with the Humvee being a vehicle is that when it's pinned, instead of having sort of two actions, it still has one action. So even though it's pinned, now in this turn, it's going to be able to go bonk onto that relief convoy, and it's going to get home because there's nothing else that can interfere with it now, is there? What is it? They've moved. That's right. They don't have the ability to fire. And yeah, no one else can mess with them. Let's just put it that way. Although, hang on a second. No, they're pinned. They can't fire at them. No. Okay. So looks like they're going to make it. We've done that. So now let's do the next SNA sniper who's over there, and he can fire across the street at these two Ranger chalks, which are here. Now, interesting situation there because they were pinned, but they were in the street, so therefore on this turn they are going to attempt to assault. Well, they're going to assault them, and we'll see what happens. But also what happened was two SNA units appeared here and here as reinforcements, and because they're right next door to the Rangers, they're going to assault them as well. So things could get sticky there for the Rangers. The trouble with the assaults is they can be pretty wild on the old dice, and never quite know what might happen. But anyway, first of all, the sniper is going to fire over there to see if he can soften things up. Keen as mustard. Right, so let's do that sniper firing at the Rangers. And right, well, we got a couple of 6s. So the sniper has scored 8, and the Rangers obviously exceed that. So that means that the sniper fire was ineffective. So no, he's not pinned, is he? Let's rotate him to show that he's had his go. And then it's a question of, well, just moving the rest of the snipers who didn't have anyone to fire at. Okay, we've moved the snipers, and so now it's the SNA infantry are going to assault anyone they can assault. Right, so we've got these 3 SNA units here are going to assault the Rangers there, who are in good order. And no pins there, I'm happy to say. So we'll just randomly select one of the SNA units. We'll call them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that sort of thing. Let's do that. And so it's going to be this one first. He's going to go in first. And when you go into an assault situation like this, you're only attacking one unit, not both of them. So it's him against, let's say, them there. And whoever scores the most wins. And in a tie, the UN forces win. Right, looks like we've won. We have scored 8 and they have scored 7. Okay, so they are eliminated. Okay, next up, let's roll. We'll say he's 1, 2, 3, he's 4, 5, 6. Do that. All right, so it's going to be him next. And let's roll them up at the Rangers. And it's okay, that means we win. Obviously, we've got stronger forces, so they have been eliminated. Okay, and then finally, we have the one remaining SNA unit. And, ooh, right, what do we got now? He has scored 8, and, ooh, we have scored 6. So we have, let's check the math. Yeah, he has scored 8. We have scored 6. So we have lost the Rangers there. They have been eliminated. Not dented, but eliminated. So they're going to be replaced. Now, that's an interesting situation, of course, because that means that he went in there. They eliminated that unit. But there's still a Ranger unit left. What happens is they pop back now. They pop back to where they came from. So they're there. But that unit there has been eliminated. So let's sort that out. And there you see the results. So as I say, the SNA pop back to where they came from. And they've left behind a casualty unit there. So now we're going to have to evacuate them as well. And we've got now down in here in the UN casualties, we've got the Ranger Chalk unit there that was just clobbered by the SNA. Right, okay. So now we go to SNA movement that is not combat. Is there any? Yeah, let's see. Is there any SNA? Are there any SNA units that can just open fire on us? Is militia. No, militia, let's say they can't reach anybody. That we've already dealt with them up there. Oh, there's an SNA unit here. There certainly is. Yes, that SNA unit there can fire at the Humvee in the street. It can't assault them. You can't assault vehicles, but you certainly can shoot at them. So they're going to do that for certain. All right, here we go. They're using their anti-armor factor now, which is 1 for the SNA. Okay, so they have scored a total of 5, and our armor is 4 plus 3 is 7. So it was ineffective. So that was their shot there. And let's see. I think that's it from SNA that can actually shoot at us. So let's do their movement now. Okay, we've done our SNA movement, so now we're looking at militia units. Which militia units, first of all, can do an assault? And we've got, this one is in the street here, so they can certainly assault the Ranger Chalk there. So, being as they are keen as mustard, in they go. And what do we got? Well, clearly, we just look at that and you can tell that we won that, so they are eliminated. There go the militia. Take that off, okay. And then this one here, we've got this militia unit here on National Street is attacking those 2 units there. Well, it's attacking the Delta team because it's the higher value unit. So in they go, and we shall see. Well, we can see we scored better there, so that means, yep, okay, there we go. The militia back into the opaque cup. And I marked these two not because they can do an assault, but because they can do firing. And so we got one militia unit there, one here, 2 Delta teams over here. Okay, so we'll start off with that one there, firing at the Delta team. And 2 6s, which obviously means that they lost that. So they've done their move. Their fire was ineffective. There we go. And then next up, the militia there firing across the street. And once again, we beat them on the dice. So clearly we won the math, as it were. So do that. They fired, firing ineffective. Desultore fire. Okay, and now we do, what do we do now? We move the militia units which could neither assault nor fire. Well, as before, things are getting pretty tasty here. We've completed all the Somali actions, of course, and we've also done the Somali recovery phase. But as we can see, we've got chaps closing in left, right, and centre. And yes. What we don't like the look of, don't like it at all, is there's an RPG unit here on National Street. And so one scenario, for example, I was thinking was in this turn. So now it's the turn of the UN action phase. Right. So one thing we could do is we could take both those units and load them into the truck. And that would be one action. And then in the second action, we could move to here. Now, the problem with that is it means that then in the Somali turn, they've got an RPG unit right next to us that can fire the truck, which is a very weak unit. Okay. Yes, we might be able to take out them. They won't be there to shoot at them. So the truck moves to there. They could be fired upon by both those Delta teams, for example. Alternatively, we could we could not do that. I think that's probably going to be the best policy. We've somehow got to do something to gum up that. We at least got to pin them or something like that. But I think it is time to be thinking, okay, come on, it's time to start withdrawing. So let's see, if we move the truck, the point is that we could move the truck to there. Okay, this one here, we can go 1, 2 all the way up to here. There's no RPG proximity down there. There's nobody down there with an RPG that they can use right away if we're down that way. And then use the Humvee to go 1 into that space there and then load the casualty, because that casualty being there is making me very nervous. We load the casualty. That would mean then left in that space there would be just those Rangers facing off against 2 SNA units that can do an assault again. As we can see, that can produce nasty results. And let's see, they are in the road here, so they can't be fired on by them because they're in the next street over here. But they could be. Let's see, if the Humvee came to here and then loaded up the casualties, that's 2 actions. So the Humvee can't fire on them either. So we would be trusting to luck there that we would get, that we would be able to call in the helicopter support and do them some serious damage. Anyway, lots to think about. And then, of course, up here, all we're going to do is they are going to move on to that counter there, which means bingo, safe. They're going to be in the UN base there, nice and snug. Right, so plenty to think about. Okay, so UN action phase, here we go. Well, first of all, rather triumphantly, this lot is going to limp into this space here, can move 1 space because they're pinned. And as soon as they touch the relief convoy, they are teleported into the UN base. So they have indeed made it. So there they are. All right. Yes. Okay. Now then, we are going to do pretty much as I said. These 2... did we decide on that? We decided... yes, they are indeed going to the Delta, and the Ranger Chalk are going to load up on the truck. And they are going to... That's 1 action. and then the second action for the vehicle is to move into this space here. Okay, actually, we can do that, I suppose. Makes it a bit clearer, probably, as far as I know. Okay, and then we've got this unit here is going, which of course has got the all-important casualty on board, and they are going to go 1, 2 and move to there, which does put them down amongst the enemy, but I don't think there's much I can do about that. Then this Humvee is going to make 1 to there, and then it's going to take a second action. It's going to load up the casualties. Thinking about it, wait a minute, we could load up the Rangers as well, right? Yeah, I think that's the thing to do, isn't it? Otherwise, he's just going to stay there and be assaulted. So, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to load up the Rangers as well. Yeah, let's put the casualty on top so we know that's the one with the casualties in it. Yeah, we can do all that. All right. So that's all the vehicles have done their bit. Right. Gosh, wait a minute. Because we could... But that's just a Humvee, right? So that's a Humvee. Okay, truck has already done its thing, but the thing is that the casualty, I'm pretty sure the casualty doesn't count. I know that when you're moving around, when you're just sort of moving and stacking and everything, the casualty doesn't count. See, what I'm trying to figure out is, can those 2 units there get into there, or is the casualty a unit that's in there? Remember, the Humvee is not like, you know, a Humvee. It's a number of Humvees and so forth. I have looked long and hard at the rules, and I'm not sure that there's a clear indication on that. The casualty is certainly a unit, but it has no stacking value, as I say, when you're trying to figure out how many units you can put in a space. But then you have a whole different set of values when it comes to how much can you put in a vehicle. You can put three units in a vehicle. Gosh, I'm going to adjudicate that they're not occupying any space, so that means that they could move in there. So then the only thing then is, it means you've got all your eggs in one basket, and the only thing that can fire out, well, the vehicles can fire out, but only, of course, if they haven't already performed their actions, and they certainly can't because they have performed their actions. Although, wait a minute, what am I doing here? Yeah, I got to think. No, I think we're leaving ourselves a bit too vulnerable. If they jump on board there, I think we need to attack some of these units to do something about that, because we're just it's a bit thick here at the moment. Yeah, we've got a lot of S&A units around with they have an anti-armor factor of 1, you know, in addition to the RPGs. So I think they are not going to board up this turn, but he is going to move to there. If he does that, he can't be close assaulted because he's run away from them and they're too far away. So he's safe there, as it were. All right, so there's that. That means that's all the movement done. And in addition, so then the whole point here is I'm leaving these two chaps in position so that they can hopefully do some serious damage against the bad guys that are breathing down our necks. Right, so we'll start off by having Delta Team there, the D-Boys, fire on the RPG unit there. And okay, that looks promising. Yep, we've got, yeah. Right, we've scored 8, and they have got a score of 6, so they are merely pinned, unfortunately. Okay, it would have been nice to bag them, but there we go. And they've done their bit. Okay. Yeah, could change the plan now. Could sort of, well, just pop them on there. Interesting thought. No, I think I want him to fire. I want him to shoot at one of the SNA units. Oh, well, can he though? No, he can't. He can't shoot an SNA. He could shoot across the street at that RPG unit. That's what he needs to do. Okay. Yeah, that looks promising. Right, we have scored 11 and they have got 5, so we've bagged them. Right, we've eliminated that unit. Well done. And he's done his bit. And that is the entire UN move completed. So we go on to the UN relief phase. We might as well keep the camera running. And let's roll up the relief, because it would be nice to get the relief convoy to here if we can. Okay. All right. Excellent. When you roll that, you can place the counter wherever you like. So we're going to get a convoy counter. There we go. And we're going to add it to the convoy, which is coming out here. And there it is there now. Okay. All right. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, because it's sort of, they're hard to come by, and the convoy does build up very slowly, but it is pretty well invincible. So one of the things that happens, I believe it's the case that they can't go here when we just got a Humvee unit there. They certainly can't go there. So that means that we know we're going to be able to move from here if we don't get destroyed before then or pinned or anything. Well, actually, even if we got pinned, we'd be okay to go from here to here. Right. Okay. Actually, I'm going to take a break in a second. I'm going out to dinner with my wife. But so I might as well complete the entire turn. So the last thing we do is check for mission completion, and it's not complete. So we move on to the next turn. So we're going to be going up to turn 6. And, well, there we are. Okay, here we are. It's turn 6. And we've done our roadblock placement, and we've done our SNA reinforcements. They actually ran out. The opaque cup was empty. There were no more reinforcements to be placed by the time we got to our third batch of 4, because there are 4 batches of reinforcements up here. So they ran out, in other words. So everybody once again is back on the board, and the most important factor is that there is now a technical here. They're always a great danger. And I don't think we had any RPG units that popped up as reinforcements that are like right next to and able to take a shot at our forces. I don't think that happened, no. So, right, so we've got our 2 missions that we can do of the air support coming in from the H6 Little Birds. And they have no, they're pinned. There's an RPG unit there, but they're pinned. So there's no no enemy unit with any special anti-armor, anti-vehicular ability, as it were, in the front line that can take a shot. As I say, RPG would have been bad news, but they're pinned. That was done deliberately. There was an RPG unit there, but we managed to eliminate them. The technical's down here, but in his go, he can move and then fire. But so he could, for example, move to here. And, oh, that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, he could move to there. How does that work? Ooh, I don't like that. Oh, dear. Yeah, he's a new reinforcement. So he could move to... It's deceptive. You can sort of say, oh, I can put him there on the road. But actually, of course, think of it a different way. Think of him as being there, because that's just all one space. So you can move from there to there and fire. Okay, that's not good, because there we've got a... because they will be able to do that before we get to move. So he is definitely a clear and present danger. So I think what we need to do... We've got this technical over here, but there's the UN convoy down here. They can't mess with that. So he could go this way. He could go to that space there, but there's no one to fire at here. So he's definitely a problem. So we're going to do a air support mission shooting at him for sure. And then we're also going to do... let's see. I already decided on this. Yes, that's right. These 2 units here. Now, they don't have any special abilities, but they do have an anti-armor factor of 1, which is better than militia with an anti-armor factor of 0, for example. And there are 2 of them in the same space, which is always makes them a tempting target, because you might possibly pin or eliminate both of them. So that's what we'll shoot at there. Yeah, so we definitely need to take out, definitely need to attempt to take out the technical. So let's just get on with it and do that. So we want to roll high if we can. What we don't want is a 1. Excellent result. Excellent. Well done to the boys and the little birds. That is an elimination. Right, okay, so the technical, which just appears, goes straight back into the opaque cup. And then we have one more mission, and we're going to do that there on those 2 units there. And we attack them individually. So we'll have the one on the left. They're both the same. So we'll go at the one on the left. And 1. What we don't want. That's a complete miss. And we'll go at the one on the right. And we got 2. So at least we got a pin there. So that's handy. There we go. They're pinned. Okay. So, not a bad result. The main thing was to get rid of the technical. So, alright, that was the UN air support. Now we're on to the Somali action phase. Starting off with technicals. And I'm sure sharp-eyed observers will have noticed that I made a tactical error there. But the die is cast. What is done is done. Because this technical down here, silly me, he can move to there. And this street goes all the way up to there. So they can shoot into that street there. So that's on, what is that, National Street? Yeah, starting to know my way around. Comes down here into National Street and can shoot up Howlwadak Street. They will fire at the highest value armor, the highest armor value, which is in the Humvee that's underneath that lot. So that's what they're going to do. They can move and shoot. So here they go moving, and just pop them right there. And do that to indicate that they've moved. There we go. Sorry. There we go. So this is rather nerve-wracking, yeah, because what we don't want, we certainly don't want, well, we don't want them to have any degree of success. So they could pin the vehicle, which would mean that the folks on board would be unaffected. Or they could eliminate the vehicle, which would mean that the folks on board would be in a bad way. Okay, so let's see. Our armor defense, we know on a Humvee, is a 4. We can see that there in the top right. Our armor defense is 4. Their armored attack in the corner here is 2. All right, so it could go either way for certain. Right. And is that a draw? We've ended up with 5, and they've ended up with 5. Not so good. Not so good. Is equal to or greater than. They are pinned. Yes, they are indeed pinned. Let's sort that out. Right, and sharp-eyed observers may have noticed something. Incorrect implementation of rules come to the rescue here for the UN forces, because that was a mistake. It's not allowed in the rules. So they got pinned by that, or rather they didn't. Not anymore. They're as right as rain. Let's do that, and then I shall explain. There we go. That technical was there, and I said, you could have moved down here and fired on them. Well, no, because that puts 3 units in there. Stacking total is 2, so you can't do that. Okay, so there's the technical back there. We've reset them. I have moved a few RPG units that couldn't fire. That's okay. They're fine where they are. But what I've got to do is rethink what that technical is going to do now. It can't go down there. It's overstacking. There's no point in it going down here, because that's just getting into relief convoy territory that can't do anything about. So instead, it would be logical, it seems to me, for it to go here to try and get down there somewhere. Okay, right. Next thing is actually RPG firing whenever it can. He's pinned, he can't fire. The only other RPG that can fire is actually that unit there, which I should have done before I moved those RPGs down there, but it doesn't matter. Everything's fine. So he is going to open fire. We've got 2 Delta teams here, so he's just going to fire, I don't know, at the bottom one, let's say. And let's roll that up. So that's an RPG firing. He's got a factor of 2, so he's got a total of 3. They have a total of 10. So his fire was ineffective. So what am I doing? We'll rotate him to indicate that he has moved. He has taken his turn. Sorry. And So now we've done RPGs, now we're on to snipers. Let's have a look at them. Okay, we have to hold our breath on this one. There's this sniper up here that can fire at the Humvee down there. So it's got a defense of 4. He's got a factor of 0 anti-armor. So fingers crossed. Looks like we're okay. Obviously, you know, we got 4, they got 0. Obviously, they didn't outscore us, so clearly they have failed to achieve anything. So that's the sniper, and now we'll just move the snipers who can't fire. Right, we've moved up the snipers, and now it's time. Now it's time for the SNA infantry that can fire. If they could do an assault, they would do that. But none of them can. Remember, you can't, for example, you can't from here to there, you can't assault a vehicle. So it's shooting, and that means they're using their anti-armor factor, which is the 1 down in the corner there. So there are, in fact, because they're pinned, there are, in fact, 4 units that could fire on them, for example. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is not very nice from the point of view of the UN forces. Alternatively, of course, as we can see, this unit and this unit here could both fire at units in this street, but they're going to go for the highest value highest value armor, so it's not the truck. So it's got to be either that Humvee or that Humvee. And as far as I can see, there's nothing in the rules that sort of says, well, let's have a look at what's inside the Humvee before we decide to fire. They've both got casualties in them, and they've both got some infantry in them. Like I said, I'm skewing things whenever there's a ambiguity or there's just, you know, no rule for it. I'm trying to do things in favor of the game system. So therefore, I would think the worst result for the UN would be that they all gang up and they all fire at that unit there. So, which is close. It's in one move, it will be able to get to the relief convoy. So they're going to go for that. So all 4 of them are going to do that. So of course we roll them all individually anyway. So let's see, this is shooting, so there's no negative effect if they fail, so it doesn't really matter which order we'll do it, but let's say we start with that one there. So they've got an anti-armor factor of 1, and we've got an armor protection value of 4. Okay, well, clearly we're all right there, so no problem there. Okay, and next one will be that one there. Let's see what they can do. They've obviously failed there, so we just indicate that they have done their bit. Next up, I'll do this unit here. And, right. Let's see. They've scored 7, and our 4, oh dear, that is a pin, isn't it? Yeah, they've got 1 plus 6 is 7. We've got 4 plus 3 is 7, so that's a pin. I think we're okay, though. Yes, because even with a pin, unless we get hit again, if we get hit again, we are eliminated, which would be bad. Okay, so they've done their bit. The Humvee is pinned. Now, if they don't get hit again, even though they're pinned, they can still move 1 space, so they can move to there and teleport themselves to the UN base. But they can still be fired upon by them. They haven't fired yet. And there's a militia unit here as well that can fire on them. Right. It's so nerve-wracking. Okay. All right. Come on, Humvee drivers. Dodge the SNA bullets and stuff. We're okay. Nothing there. You missed. Okay. Right. Talk about a close shave. Well, we're not out of the difficult area yet, because as I say, there's still those militia there which could still just scrape through with a shot that could potentially destroy the Humvee. So that was all the fire from SNA that could fire. So now it's just SNA movement to tidy up. Right. So rather a crucial moment here. Incoming fire from the militia there on 21st of October Road, down here onto Howlwadak Street, with the Humvee there, it's pinned. You see? Dark situation. Let's see what the militia can do. They're as keen as mustard, and they've got the Humvee pinned. But it's not to be. Yee! We scraped through. So they fired. And then, actually, we should have done this first. This is a, it doesn't matter, but just per form, we should have done this first. This is an assault. There's the one unit there that can actually do an assault on a wing and a prayer against one of the D-boy teams down there, Delta team. Okay, clearly they didn't win that one, so they are eliminated, of course, if they lose an assault. Okay. And then now it's just normal firing from the militia. They can fire across the street here. So they can fire at both the Delta teams are the same. So they'll fire at them, let's say. Okay, here we go. And nothing doing there. So they fired. And then here we go again. And nothing doing there. So they fired. Okay, no other militia can fire, so we'll just now move in the militia. Okay, so we have finished the Somali action phase. We've finished Somali recovery phase. We've flipped over the pinned units, the unpinned side. And now it's time to do the UN action phase. And this looks promising, but it does have a loose end for sure. Okay. So we've got here, I've adjudicated that, I've decided to adjudicate that because the prisoner counter, which, there's that one over there, the prisoner counter doesn't take up any stacking space when you're moving around the board, but it takes up 2 spaces in a vehicle, okay? The difficulty we have is how much space is taken up in a vehicle by a casualty counter. So I'm sure it's my fault, but I have not been able to find anything definitive in the rules. I must have missed something. The casualty counter does not count in stacking when you're moving around, but then again, neither does the prisoner counter. But I think it's only fair that it should take up some space inside the transport unit. So I'm going to say it takes up 1 space. So that means if we've got here, we've got a Humvee, and we've got... yeah, we've got 2 units in there, so we do have space for 1 more unit. The thing is, actually, I don't want to leave I don't want to delay the Humvee. So what I'm going to do is, this is the important one. That's the one that's pinned. It can move 1 space. Okay, it's going to move 1 space to there, which means it can then go bonk straight back to the UN base, safe and sound. Okay, the same thing can be done with this unit here. They could instead have loaded up, let's say, 1 Delta team. But that's an action, then they could have moved to there and stopped. But I don't want to do that. I want to get what they've got right now, because casualties are very valuable as victory points. That is to say, you do not want to lose them to the enemy. So they are going to go 1, 2, and that means they end up at the UN base as well. Okay, so they're safe and sound. Okay, they're there. All right. The mission is almost over, but not quite, no. So what I've decided to do here is it's time to try to get the hell out of Dodge. So a truck can carry 5 units. So we've already got, let's see, a Ranger Chalk and a Delta team on there. So we're going to embark 1 Ranger Chalk and 2 Delta teams. And they're now all on board. Truck is loaded to capacity. That was 1 action. So now it can do 1 more action. So it's going to move straight along Howlwadak Street up to here. Okay, which puts it down among all these enemy down there, which is not the best situation. But we do have, of course, we've got we've got 2 air support strikes that we can call in before it's their turn to shoot. It's not looking that great because, of course, whereas before they were shooting at Humvees, now they're shooting at a truck, which has an armor factor of 2, whereas the Humvees was 4. So they are much more likely to be able to get some sort of hit on it, which is not so hot. If they only pin it, of course, then we know that in its next turn it can move to the relief convoy, and bingo, there you go. The other thing that might happen is I might get a lucky die roll and be able to put another relief convoy counter here as the relief convoy extends around the corner. And I'll have to look at the rules, but I think what happens is if you can do that, you can put the counter there, and then that stack is rescued. It can go straight back to the UN base, I think. Not sure. But anyway, that's the best move I can come up with. And so that is what the UN forces have indeed done. The other thing, of course, to be borne in mind, I'll have to look at the rules, but I mean, if you, as I suppose it was rather like in the book and in the movie and all that sort of thing, because what could happen is forces from there could be sent back out, to sort of mess with them. But I hope I don't have to do that. That sounds really dangerous. So let's see, we've done that. So now it is indeed the UN relief phase. So I'm going to look up the rules on that relief counter and see if it is worthwhile trying to get one and place it there. Well, the good news is it is as I thought, which is to say, we roll the die, and if we manage to come up with a relief convoy that we can place either on in connection with UN base 1 specifically, or excuse me, if I roll a 5 or a 6, which means you can do it in connection with any UN base you choose, then I will be able to place it at to continue the end of the convoy. I'll be able to place it there, and when that gets placed there, they will immediately have the option to go straight home to the UN base, which is exactly what they will do. There's a 50-50 chance of that happening. There's a lesser chance that I'll get something like, I'll roll like a, what would it be? Let's see. Yeah, if I rolled sort of like 3, I'd have the option to put one there, which wouldn't change anything, wouldn't cost me any points, would be entirely pointless as far as I can see. So anyway, let's get on with it. So what I want is for either 1 to come up, or I want 5 or 6, which means I can place it anywhere I like. So I want a 1, a 5, or a 6. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. And there you are. So that is it. That is the end of the mission. So we do our relief convoy. Let's do it according to form. We place that there. Continue the convoy. Or let's see. All these boys here in the truck units get to go home. All those boys down here in the UN base. There you go. And that's it. So, in terms of negative, what are they called? MPPs? I always get this wrong, don't I? Mission penalty points. I'm learning slowly. Mission penalty points. Where's... Let's see, there's a list somewhere, isn't there? Yes. There we go. Page 12. There's a point for every relief convoy that is on the map and not in a UN base. Okay. Every UN unit, including relief convoy. Right, so that means there are... as we can see, that's in a UN base. That's in a UN base. There is 1, 2, 3. There are no other units around and about. No. So that's 3. Then we have a UN combat unit in the UN casualties box, which is these poor brave lads here. They are 2 points. So that means you've got 2 points and then 3, 4, 5 points in total. That is it. So 5 points. Oh my gosh. Right, and the victory conditions are such that if you have 0 through -5 points, or 0 through 5 points, your result is classified as excellent. No, hang on a minute. Sorry about this. I'm looking at the victory conditions for the wrong scenario. The points are the same. Let's look at the points for... we're okay. No, we're look... Yep. Mission Irene or Operation Irene, Black Hawk down. If you score 0 to 5 points, your result is excellent. Medal of Honor. Good Lord. Because before, when I did the first mission, Radio Mogadishu, I scored something like 26 points, which was absolutely off the scale, catastrophically awful. And yes. probably have had to have resigned my commission. Yes, and then I'd have to settle my mess bill and all that sort of thing. Right. Let's have a think of it. So that's the end. Right, that's the end of the game. But now I'll have a bit of a pause, come up with some profound insight, and we'll sort of give a sort of general sort of description of what we thought of the engagement. All right, so here we are at the end of the game. Let's see, what can we say about the experience of the whole thing? I think it was splendid. Let's see, we've come to the end of turn 6. Well, actually, on the end of turn 6, but no, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, we placed that in the UN relief phase, and then we checked for mission completion, and we've completed the mission. So there you are. Okay. Yes, so Black Hawk Down, Operation Irene, was completed in 6 turns. There were 10 turns available. I marked these up to just indicate the last 3 turns were night turns, which affects shooting. Those are all the forces that managed to get back to the UN base, and there was this one unit of Rangers that were lost, although, of course, they were partially... well, no, I suppose, how's that reflected? That's right, they were combat ineffective, and then they turned into a casualty counter, which then itself went home. Right, that's right, isn't it? Yes, I'm just looking now, I'm just trying to make sense of the fact that... Have I messed something up here? Hang on a second. Oh no, that's right, yeah, I was going to say... One of those casualties counters matches that unit. Who does the other casualty counter match? Well, no, one of those are the chaps from the Black Hawk Down itself. Right. They're not, yeah, they're the helicopter crew. Yes, right, that would explain it. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so 6 turns, plenty of excitement, and I think that the way that the enemy behaves is splendid. It's all very sensible. And, of course, their units are really rather weak compared to the UN forces. But there are so many of them. That's just it. And they keep coming back. Of course, they go into the opaque cup, and then they come back from the opaque cup. And you learn to watch out for... those RPG units and, yes, the RPG units, and especially the technicals, and those are frequently targets of the air support strikes from the H6 Little Birds. Thinking about it, I think in the optional rules, there was a rather nice optional rule that says that if you do... I believe it was, if you do an air support strike at a target, let's say there would be a prime target right there, for example, you've got RPG and technical in the same space, so that you could make that one of your strikes from the helicopters. And I believe that if there is an RPG unit in that space, or possibly even adjacent to that space, I can't remember, there's a possibility that your... attacking helicopters will be damaged. And I think the way it works is that you would place a casualty marker. You go into the box and you place a casualty marker, I don't know, into that space or near it, adjacent to it, or something like that. I don't think you reduce the amount of helicopter support you receive, but you've got yet another, you have got a Black Hawk Down, or possibly, I suppose, a Little Bird Down, yes. Anyway, so yeah, there are optional rules, and of course one of them is there is a what is it? It's there's like an event. It's as if you had event cards for each turn. So but they're not cards. You just roll on a table, and it can vary things. You can have a local riot, or fresh tires burning, or tires burning out, or mines, or mortars, or cat, even. That is to say, cat, the sort of, what is it, some sort of chewable leaf, I think it is, or collaborators. So all these things can come up on a die roll, which would certainly spice things up. I didn't get that far because I didn't want to overwhelm myself with rules. But Anyway, what else can we say? I think the production quality is absolutely first class. I really like the counters. The counters are, as near as I can measure it, approximately 2 millimeters thick, which is pretty thick for a counter. And I really enjoy that because it means that I can take this unit here. I can pick it up, I can flip it over, I can pick it up, I can stack it, I can do all this sort of thing without having to use tweezers. Oh, it's a pleasure, and they're nicely illustrated. I think the the map, the way it's illustrated and the way that it's divided up into its sections is very, very clever, marvelous. You really feel like you're doing what was done in the book. You're doing what was done in the movie. You put your chaps in there with coming down from the choppers, and then to get everybody out, you've got to do that with motor vehicles. They don't get rescued there's no helo evac. There's no helo exfil. No, it's just motor vehicles plodding their way in, even trucks, for heaven's sake, which are extremely vulnerable, getting in there, and then your perimeter is desperately being held by the Ranger Chalks and the D boys from Delta teams, and marvelous. It's very, very evocative, and then of course you do have the just like in the book and in the movie, you've got the slow build up of a relief convoy, which they're real lifesavers. They are. So if you can make it to them, you're all set. There's a lot going on. Absolutely. So I give it absolutely top marks, and recommend it to anybody interested in Mogadishu 1993. Anybody interested in a first class Solitaire by design game. Let's see. And I've got my eye on, I haven't found a copy of it yet, but I have got, I know you can buy them, but I'm cheap and I like to get things on eBay if I can, try and get a good secondhand copy, so I've got my eye out for, Don't Tread on Me, because as far as the American War of Independence goes, or the American Revolutionary War, I've done reenacting. Yes, I've got a musket and all that sort of thing. Don't tend to do it that much these days, but yes, so I could certainly. I understand that's a very good game, and another one. The reason I mention it is because it's also by White Dog Games, of course, who also again top marks to them for offering several of their games as print and play options, which can save a lot of time. You could download and print up a print and play game and be playing it the same day potentially, but also it's handy for us folks who live in the UK, where if you're trying to get, I know there are shops in the UK that, yeah, okay, fine, but with often it's the case that the only way you can get a game is to order it from the States, and the freight, the shipping can easily cost as much as the game itself, which is very dispiriting. So yes, print and play is a marvellous option to have. So top marks to White Dog for doing that sort of thing. Also, top marks to, let me get it here, there we go, David Kershaw, because I did ask a couple of questions after I finished the first game and before I played the second game. I asked 3 questions on Board Game Geek, and as I think I mentioned previously, David Kershaw answered my questions within 45 minutes. I mean, can you beat that? You see, answers from the designer within 45 minutes. Exceptional, extraordinary. And I did mention to David that I would be making YouTube videos, and David said that graciously said that he would be interested in having a look. So I hope to upload this one shortly and get it out there so people can see at least my take on playing Black Hawk Down with the MOG by White Dog Games. And I think that's enough, so we'll press on now, and as usual, I say, here's to it.